Hello, friends. This is Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News. Today is May 5th, 2026. Thank you for joining us on this Cinco de Mayo, Tuesday edition of Weaponized News. We have quite a bit to get to today. As per usual, the lies coming out of the White House, I guess they're trying to top themselves here now on day 67 of the Iran war. We're going to cover all of that. Shout out to those joining us on the Rumble, Kick, YouTube, Facebook, X, Bitchute. Are we live streaming on the Substack? I don't know. I think we are. I think we're on Substack. If you're watching on Substack, shout out to you. All right. Yeah, so a whole lot of lying coming out of the White House as per usual. We're in Operation Deadlock. There's a stalemate there in the Strait of Hormuz. But the Department of War, the White House, they just can't stop lying and changing the narrative. We're going to go over all of that. For you today, we have public health news. What's going on? Have they launched weaponized ticks operation? We'll take a look at that. And it's being proposed now. Trump's ballroom is going to cost $1 billion. We'll take a look at that. We have more Epstein news. Bunch of economic news, geopolitical news. And yeah, they're leveling Gaza, leveling Lebanon continually. The genocide in Gaza continues, stacking bodies as per usual. Quite horrific. Quite horrific. All those details and much more for you on the Cinco de Mayo edition of Weaponized News. Shout out to Ruckus there in the YouTube chat. All right, let's get to this day. On this day in our history, let me get through this quickly. We do have a lot of news to cover today. On this day of May 5th, we go back to the year 1430, and some noticing was happening on every day of history, it seems, here now. Aardvarks are expelled from Speyer, Germany, 1430 on this day. 1762, on this day, Russia and Persia sign the Treaty of St. Petersburg, ending the 7 Years' War. 1809 on this day, some more noticing was going on. 1809 on this day, citizenship is denied to aardvarks of Argau Canton, Switzerland. 1816 on this day, American Bible Society organized in New York. 1865 on this day, we saw the first U.S. train robbery occur in North Bend, Ohio. 1881 on this day, more noticing going on. Anti-aardvark rioting in Kiev, Ukraine. 1893 on this day, we saw the panic of 1893 causes a large crash on the New York Stock Exchange. 1916, on this day, U.S. Marines invade Dominican Republic and stay occupying the Dominican Republic until 1924. In 1942, on this day, the U.S. begins rationing sugar during World War II. And we may see rationing come back around again. It'll just be due to, hey, you didn't pay for Trump's ballroom, and that should be good enough. Don't be a panicking. Trust the lying criminal government. 1947, on this day, we saw Mississippi Valley flooding kill 16 people and cause an estimated $850 million in damage. That was a lot of money. That's still a lot of money today, but back in 1947, quite a bit of money. 1961, on this day, allegedly here now, I have a hard time believing any of this nonsense, but official history tells us we saw the first American in space. Alan Shepard becomes the first American in space aboard Freedom 7 on this day, allegedly. I don't officially believe it, but that's the official story, so we're sticking to it. On this day in 2018, electric cigarette explodes, killing a man in St. Petersburg, Florida. The first known death attributed to vaping, like literally killed him from blowing up in his face. Forget all that slow kill cancer and lung disease. Just have the damn thing blow up in your face. All of the pager attacks. Remember all that. On this day in 2020, back to the bat times. On this day in 2020, global confirmed cases of bat problems reach 3.65 million. That's cases, right? Again, search Kerry Mullis PCR, and it'll put things in a different light for you in regards to confirmed bat cases. And we've covered that ad nauseum to the point of being banned off the internet for covering it. 2020, continuing U.S. cases past 70,000, while UK becomes the most affected in Europe with allegedly 29,427 known deaths. And again, we've covered it, breaking it all down. I get sick to my stomach even rehashing it all. And in 2022, on this day, WHO study of excess deaths worldwide says 15 million more people have died than normal, far above the official bat death toll of 6 million. You like how the official bat death toll, according to the WHO, is 6 million? We do appreciate the synchronicity of their numerology, of their dark occultism. So yeah, 15 excess deaths, you say, but we're told by President Trump that he saved the world many times over with his Operation Warp Speed. Turns out that's simply not the case. And then we didn't have much of mention in our civil liberties history on this day, so we're going to move past that on to a segue to the news here. Here's it's all fun and games. Millions of people are going to starve to death, go into poverty, and they're making jokes about kamikaze dolphins at the Department of War press briefing earlier today.
And I can't confirm or deny whether we have kamikaze dolphins, but I can confirm they don't, ultimately.
So that's the level that we're at with these jokers. Kamikaze dolphins. I think that was the New York Compost. I think they came out with that idiot story. Here's more dystopia out of the White House today. The professional baseball team, Washington Nationals. Here's their, they rolled these jokers out, their mascots, Screech, George, Tom, Abe, and Teddy. And so it's all big fun and games at the White House.
When hearts like ours beat.
And they constantly, and see, I can't play that song. I'm going to get tagged with copyright, but they're constantly copywriting violations at the White House. I guess if you have a big gun pointed at everybody, then you can steal everything they got, as they are doing. Here's more dystopia from this clown piece of garbage propagandist Dan Scavino. He thinks it's always cool for the behind the scenes shots. It's shit, and he's a piece of shit, and so is everybody in the government, for that matter. So they're just rubbing dystopia in our face here now, honestly. And these people just, I'm disgusted at this point. Back to Donald Trump, let me read you a little bit about it. Donald Trump was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2013 as part of the celebrity wing due to his long-standing involvement with WWE events and promotional activities. It's fake. Trump's fake. They're actors following a script. It's bullshit. Okay? They're not great Americans. They're lying criminals. The shooting that happened yesterday was actually a cop that shot a guy. I didn't even read the first line of the story. I was just like, another one, you know what I mean? But yeah, it turns out they say a man was carrying a gun in the vicinity of the White House, and Secret Service shot him. And they didn't give us so it keeps happening. But hey, $1 billion for Trump's ballroom. That's where public funds need to go now, and taxpayer funded, by the way. Republicans propose $1 billion in taxpayer dollars to secure Trump ballroom, and they keep spelling it wrong. It's BAAL room, ballroom there. And so, continuing stream of lies. In July, the White House said the new ballroom would cost $200 million, privately funded, not $1 from taxpayers. Fast forward to October of last year, the estimated cost came in at $300 million. And then fast forward 2 months to December, and the estimated cost came to $400 million. As of today, Senate Republicans are proposing a $1 billion price tag in funding from the taxpayers for the ballroom into a $72 billion ICE and Border Patrol reconciliation bill. And isn't that how they get through all of this pork? Here's a little graphic about it. You could see the time lapse of talk about inflation. The ballroom trajectory started at 200 million, and we're up to $1 billion of your money and my money now. Amazing. And that's a report by Brian Allen, posted on the X. But hey, we shouldn't care about anything. You can't afford to put fuel in your vehicle to go to work, to try to put some groceries on your table. Who cares? This is what really matters, you see. Aardvark American Heritage Month proclamation issued by the White House today as part of America 250. They literally have nothing to do with America founding, but whatever. Judeo-Christian values propaganda lie, they've shoved down our throats here now. And so we must honor Aardvark American Heritage Month. That's where we're at. We're so far the White House and Donald Trump are so far disconnected from the rest of America. It's getting very bad. Putting out racist memes here for Cinco de Mayo. I love legal immigrant. It's also funny, and we got Chuck Schumer's reply later in the show, but yeah, it doesn't hit anymore, dude. Like, it's bullshit. We're not getting mass deportations. It's bordering on racist, offensive, and it doesn't hit. You know what I mean? It's bullshit. Okay? Straight up bullshit. More bullshit. Here's Trump saying that 5 or 6 snipers killed all these people in Iran. It's just, they're just spinning freaking lies, providing no evidence ever.
That if Iranians were armed, they could take over their regime. Do you plan to arm them soon?
Well, I don't want to say that, but yeah, I mean, people say, why aren't they protesting? They want to protest, but they don't have any guns. So you could have 200,000 people protesting and have 5 or 6 sick people with guns. And when they start shooting them right between the eyes, and you see a guy fall and another one fall, and you have no guns, very few people would be able to stand there and do it. I mean, I understand it. I tell them not to. Don't forget, they killed 42,000 people last month. 42,000 unarmed protesters. They had no guns.
They've never provided any evidence whatsoever. It's just Trump saying that. They already tried the color revolution that failed, and we keep rehashing it. No, it failed. You had Pompeo saying there's Mossad on the ground with the protesters. And it's just so tiresome to continue to rehash this, but that's what the media and old Trump love to do here. Earlier today, little Marco Rubio just a mountain of lies. And you see all the idiot Republicans. Oh, yeah, Marco's looking real good for 2028. Yeah, if you just love a never-ending stream of lies, I guess that's what we get. Little Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, argued in early March that the U.S. needed to join the war against Iran primarily as a preemptive move to protect American service members from inevitable retaliation. Rubio stated that the U.S. knew there was going to be an aardvark land action and that joining the strike offensively was better than waiting to respond defensively. And here's Hegseth spinning another tall tale earlier today.
Zero hedge. In recent weeks, both Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel's head of Mossad have stated their intent not to cease combat with the Iranians. Netanyahu put this on Twitter. Israel's head of Mossad said Israel's goals are not finished until the Iranian government collapses. And so they're referring to the government that President Trump has brokered a ceasefire with and is working on a lasting peace in the region with. And so that's something many Americans, especially American farmers, are hoping he does get to a lasting peace. And so if President Trump is successful in that and the Israelis are explicitly stating their intent to continue fighting at a later date, how can you ensure America doesn't get roped back into a war if that comes? And secondly, with Netanyahu comfortable tweeting something like that out, and also Netanyahu has continued bombing Lebanon despite President Trump explicitly telling him not to.
I would say your question is based on the false premise that somehow President Trump is being pulled in by Prime Minister Netanyahu to any of these actions. And that's where you're going. Just to be clear, President Trump has led at every step of this based on his view of American interest and America first. And we're grateful that Israelis have been very capable partners at many steps of this, and they may have some objectives.
And so they just lie here again from the State Department. And so save your lies that we can't allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. That's why you all have to live in poverty. Save those lies. Save the lies at the press conference here. I've been citing it a lot, so it should be well known by now. Right here from the United States Department of State. Again, in a letter they wrote to the UN Security Council on March 10th, the United States is engaged in this conflict at the request of and in the collective self-defense of its aardvark land ally, as well as in the exercise of the United States' own inherent right of self-defense. So continually debunking the lies coming out of what do you do with a drunken Hegseth, Secretary of War here now. The White House is even using the term weaponizing. And so we here at Weaponized News have been way ahead of the game. For decades, Iran has extorted the whole world by weaponizing the Strait of Hormuz to their terroristic will. Project Freedom will crush that threat and reopen the global commerce trade through the strait. Before America's attack on Iran, killing Supreme Leader Khomeini at behest of aardvark land, the Strait of Hormuz was open and shipping was going fine through there, just to remind everybody. And some of the they need to all get on the same page of lies. I know it's hard when everything you say is a lie to keep it straight. That is a problem for these congenital liars known as U.S. politicians. But this from yesterday, U.S. Senator Queen Lindsey Graham says, without a doubt, Iran violated the ceasefire and calls for a large-scale, strong, costly, and short-lived military strike against Iran. That was reported by the Wall Street Journal. And here you have Trump saying, they didn't violate the ceasefire. What does Iran need to do to violate the ceasefire? A reporter asked Trump here earlier today.
It's due to violate the ceasefire.
Well, you'll find out because I'll let you know. They know what to do and they know what to do. They know what not to do, more importantly, actually. And
they're such liars. I mean, it's pretty basic, right? What is a ceasefire? Stop shooting at each other. And they diluted the basic definition of what a ceasefire is down to he did it. You're all terrorists. It's just F you, man. These people piss me off so much. It's pretty damn simple. A ceasefire, stop pulling the freaking trigger, but no. But no, we have to lie and twist and spin everything. What we're demonstrating with Project Freedom is they don't control the strait. Here's a Secretary of War Hegseth. It's just.
What we're demonstrating with Project Freedom is they don't control the strait. We know Iran is embarrassed by the fact that our blockade is holding and we can run ships through, and we're going to help the world run ships through.
Our blockade's better than your blockade, bro. That's where we're at with this nonsense.
To what remains of Iran's forces, if you attack American troops or innocent commercial shipping, you will face overwhelming and devastating American firepower. The president has been very clear about.
But they already did that yesterday, and we didn't do jack. Oh, but I guess it's all depends on what your definition of a ceasefire is.
About this. We prefer this to be a peaceful operation, but are locked and loaded to defend our people, our ships, our aircraft, and this mission without hesitation. To Iran, let innocent ships pass freely. These international waters belong to all nations.
They did. They were before you assholes put up a naval blockade and killed their supreme leader. It's just so tiresome with this fucking nonsense. Excuse my language.
Not to Iran to tax, toll, or control. To what remains of Iran.
Hegseth claims Iran no longer controls the Strait of Hormuz. Iran disputes that. The IRGC Navy, which they don't even have, but apparently they still have an office that issues statements, so they didn't whack them yet. The IRGC Navy issued a directive. We warn all vessels intending to transit the strait. The only safe route for passing through the Strait of Hormuz is the corridor previously announced by the Islamic Republic of Iran, and any deviation of vessels to other routes is unsafe and will face decisive action by the IRGC Navy, which they don't even have, according to Trump and the White House and the Department of War, for that matter. The message comes as Secretary of War Hegseth declared earlier today that Iran has lost control of the Strait of Hormuz. Timeline of Trump administration's demands for regime change in Iran. This is a report out of Dropsite News. Here's the timeline to where we are today on May 5th, starting back at the beginning of this whole thing. February 28th, 2026, Trump promises freedom for the Iranian people during a video address launching the strikes. No deal except unconditional surrender, Trump said. Fast forward, about a month, to March 24th, 2026, Trump declares regime change complete because the leaders are all different, despite claiming he didn't know exactly who the new leader was. And the whole time, Iran made perfectly clear that they're following the chain of succession, the chain of command. We reported it too, but the lies or misinformation, disinformation coming out of the White House, coming out of Trump's mouth, talking out both sides of his mouth and his rear end, doesn't ever seem to stop now. April 2nd, 2026, Trump maintains that the U.S. never said regime change, while simultaneously bragging that the previous regime was decimated. And then today, March 5th, 2026, Hegseth says President Trump didn't capitulate on demand for unconditional surrender of Iran's regime, though signaling it is no longer the goal. Whatever end state is reached will ensure Iran never has nuclear weapons, and the Iranian people take advantage of. And what the Iranian people take advantage of is up to them. So literally, they just starve millions of people to death, millions into poverty, all-time record high gas prices, engineered famine, collapse. So Iran can't have the alleged nuclear weapons that they were going to nuke us with in 2 weeks for the last 47 years. That's where we're at with this idiocy and lies, flat out lies, as per usual. But it's not even good lies. It's just transparent lies at this point. For anybody paying attention there at home, you will pay attention when you go to the grocery store and the gas pump. You will be forced to pay attention at some point here now in the very near future. Iranian parliamentary speaker Mohammad Ghalibaf posted a warning earlier today, signaling Iran believes it holds the upper hand in the Strait of Hormuz standoff. He says, well, here's his post. Let's put it up there. The new equation of the Strait of Hormuz is in the process of being solidified. The security of shipping and energy transit has been jeopardized by the United States and its allies through the violation of the ceasefire and the imposition of a blockade. Of course, their evil will diminish. We know full well that the continuation of the status quo is intolerable for America, while we have not even begun yet. strong rhetoric coming out of Iran as per usual. Here's little Marco, and he was just a stream of lies. Apparently, according to your mainstream clownfluencer Republicans out there on the internet, Republicans love just being bold-faced lied to. And so, as per usual, I guess, little Marco 2028.
Wind up getting the last say. But our preference is for these straits to be opened to the way they're supposed to be opened, back to the way it was. Anyone can use it, no mines in the water, nobody paying tolls. If
these assholes wouldn't have whacked their supreme leader and started this whole war for Aardvark land, then none of this would be happening. The strait, here it is, right? And so there's a blockade there. There's a blockade here. There's missiles. There's guns. There's freaking frogmen. There's freaking speedboats. There's aircraft carriers, destroyers. Like the most fought over strait probably ever. I don't know, man, but at least the biggest guns ever turned on one area, I believe. Man, there's a whole lot of pressure right there at the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has launched a new system regulating vessel passage through the Strait of Hormuz, according to state-run TV out of Iran. Ships must first notify Iranian authorities, then receive an electronic message outlining navigation rules. After accepting these terms, they are granted a transit permit. Permits will be issued by a newly established governmental body out of Iran. So Operation Epic Fury's over, according to little Marco. We've moved on to bigger and better lies.
I think you're linking it. The operation is over. Epic Fury, as the president notified Congress, we're done with that stage of it. Okay, we're now on to this project of freedom. As far as
they changed the name of the war so they don't have to get Congress to authorize a declaration of war on Iran. Semantical game criminal liars.
the negotiation is concerned, I think the president's been clear that part of the negotiation process has to be not just the enrichment, but what happens to this material that's buried deep somewhere that they still have access.
Buried deep somewhere in Iran.
Access to if they ever wanted to dig it out. That has to be addressed, and that's being addressed in the negotiation. I'm not going to go further on what progress has been made on that topic because I don't want to endanger the negotiations, but suffice it to say that the president and this entire team...
This is the lamest weapons of mass destruction fear-mongering ever. It really is stupid. Here's smoking crack cocaine. Dan King, head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Iran has continued to deliberately attack its neighbors. Just yesterday, Iran attacked Oman once and the UAE 3 times, including an attack on Fujairah oil terminal, which was successfully defeated. Since the ceasefire was announced, Iran has fired at commercial vessels 9 times and seized
But there's no ceasefire violation, bro. You know what I mean? Because we just changed the definition of what a ceasefire means. It's bullshit.
2 container ships, and they've attacked U.S. forces more than 10 times, all below the threshold of restarting major combat operations.
They just make shit up as they go. They deserve no respect. F you fools, just because you got big guns.
At this point, beyond Project Freedom, CENTCOM and the rest of the Joint Force remain ready to resume major combat operations against Iran if ordered to do so. No adversary should mistake our current restraint with a lack of resolve.
I believe them. They're ready to blow a bunch of stuff up again. I believe that part's true, but the rest of why they're even doing it is a flat out lie. Reports now here out of Ryan Grimm, Drop Site News. He says this evening in Manhattan, New York, the Greater Aardvark Land Real estate event will be advertising land available for sale in Gush at Zion, a cluster of illegal West Bank settlements, while also making tax, legal, and banking services available for those who want to become settlers. An ultra-Zionist terrorist, essentially, a maniac to go steal people's homes. They're selling people's homes they don't own. According to the event's publicly listed information, despite the commercial and internationally illegal nature of the event, the UN considers Gush at Zion to be an illegal settlement. It is being hosted at a religious institution, Park East Synagogue, on the Upper East Side. Previous events have drawn protesters and counter-protesters, leading to charges of antiseptic behavior leveled at the protesters for demonstrating near a synagogue. The protesters have countered that it is inappropriate to use a religious institution to shield such a contentious practice. In the wake of previous protests, the New York City Council, with a veto-proof majority in March, passed legislation restricting such demonstrations. So there you go. There's your good progressives there. And so you can forget about any international law being upheld. And so here are their events. And so you too can become an ultra-Zionist settler here. And there you go. All the different events. And you too can go over there and steal the Palestinians' land and probably murder them. Definitely poison a well. Eagles Wings, an evangelical org spearheading a major pro-aardvark land advocacy campaign on Capitol Hill this week, is secretly funded by the aardvark land government for its lobbying efforts and is not registered as a foreign agent, according to a previously unreported document. That's a report out of Nick Cleveland Stout out of his Substack account. And so there you go. Illegal lobbying by a foreign government right there. Eagles Wings is spearheading a push for Capitol Hill against aardvark land's public relations crisis. They don't disclose their $700,000 aardvark land paycheck. And so we are subverted from within. The Greater Aardvark Land Real Estate event there. Eagles Wings is the group putting that on. Very American, right? It's a Christian Zionist based evangelical organization. It's a foreign subversion operation launched on America. That's illegal, but they're going to get a pass because they're going to scream 6 million and don't be an antiseptic. And it's all illegal under established U.S. law. So we have a two-tiered system as per usual in that regard. Here's more from lying little Marco Rubio, moving the goalpost, like quite literally moving the goalpost, changing the goal here now. Changing the goal on Project Freedom. The goal of it is to rescue almost 23,000 civilians. So now it's turned into a humanitarian rescue mission. But they're the ones putting up a blockade in the Strait of Hormuz?
As you know, over the weekend, the president announced this Project Freedom. And the goal of it is to, frankly, if you want to talk about it, it's to rescue like almost 23,000 civilians from 87 different countries that are trapped inside of the Gulf and left for dead in the Persian Gulf by this Iranian regime. You know, for more.
America started the war. Let me remind everybody of that. Now we're tasked with saving 23,000 civilians from 87 different countries that are stranded in the Persian Gulf due to our killing of Iran's supreme leader and the U.S. naval blockade on the Strait of Hormuz. This is not an offensive operation, little Marco says. Could have fooled me when you whacked the supreme leader there.
Now, what's really important for you to report and for everyone to understand is this is not an offensive operation. This is a defensive operation. And what that means is very simple. There's no shooting unless we're shot at first. Okay? We're not attacking them. We're not. But if they're attacking us.
They've changed the definition of what shooting means. It's just they make up whatever.
So they're attacking a ship. You need to respond to that. You're not going to let some fast boat come up on a ship and shoot it up. We're going to respond to it, and we've been successful at it. I don't know what the exact number is, but I know a number of those fast boats have now been targeted and will continue to be. If they pose a threat to our forces, we'll shoot down drones, we'll shoot down missiles, but it's defensive in nature. This is defensive. So if you hear stories about attacks and launching of firing back and forth, it's not back and forth. We are only responding if attacked first. This is a defense.
If you hear stories of a battle going on, it's just... We're the non-aggression principle here, bro. It's only for defense. That's why we're in an economic war against them, a naval blockade, and never-ending threats to blow up their entire civilization, you see, because it's only defense, bro. The State Department, their little Marco Rubio, following the non-aggression principle. The libertarians out there should be very proud of them. But turns out, what was this posted about an hour and a half ago? Trump said, well, it turns out Project Freedom is on pause based on the request of Pakistan and other countries, the tremendous military success that we have had during that campaign against the country of Iran, and additionally, the fact that great progress has been made toward a complete and final agreement with representatives of Iran. We have mutually agreed that while the blockade will remain in full force and effect, Project Freedom, the movement of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, will be paused for a short period of time to see whether or not the agreement can be finalized and signed. And again, Iran said there's a whole new program. So literally nothing is moving there. We're in a stalemate. But according to UKMTO, tracking the movements there, the UK Maritime Trade Operations outfit, 2 projectiles unknown in origin have been fired at cargo vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. Here's that report. So this whole thing is just like paper thin. Paper thin. We're like literally paper thin on the way to this whole thing kicking off hot and heavy for them to just say, well, we're not defensive anymore, and we say you struck our ship as per usual in U.S. cranking up the war. And they're very proud at the White House. They posted this, wall-to-wall propaganda lies on all of your legacy Mockingbird media channels there. You can see. Oh, yeah, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. The story makes no sense. Their narrative is complete and utter bullshit, but they will keep on lying because they have a $1 propaganda machine behind them. And apparently, America has no memory whatsoever. But you will care at some point. Economically, here in America, you will be forced to care. Hey, you can't afford to eat. You can't afford fuel. Who cares? They're rolling out aliens, Project Bluebeam for all these. Here's the clip. It's just, and they're going to eat it up and sell it to their flock here. The United States is now briefing pastors to prepare for alien disclosure, is what we're being told. If you're going to any of these churches, don't walk, run, because these guys are freaking clowns, man.
Full of pastors and invited to come to a private meeting with a group of men who are connected with the intelligence world that are believers, but are still have very high security clearance. These are legit, true men of God that are still connected to Washington and even this current administration.
If that was true, they were men of God, they would not be working for the government.
Administration and all branches of military. And they literally told us, we had a sitting congressman, a very well-known congressman from Missouri. He called into that meeting as well, that was just for pastors. And this is what he said. On speakerphone, this sitting powerful member of Congress said, "Are the pastors listening to me?" I'm getting chills right now because this happened to me. He said, "Are the pastors in the room listening to me?" And I said, "Yes, sir, we are here." And he said, "Listen to me. Go and tell the church they are not ready for what is coming. The narrative that is coming, what they are going to say is going to be like nothing you can even imagine. They are preparing to tell us that they are from another dimension, that they are our creator, and that these beings, these aliens, or whatever you want to call them, they were the ones that seeded us here. There is no such thing as God. Jesus was invented by them. The Bible was invented by them." And begin to just say, listen, prepare the people for what is coming because they're not ready. But he loved us so much. He made sure that he told us exactly the blueprint to study. He said, study the days of Noah. And if you can understand how Noah responded, that's how you're going to have to respond. And I believe
he loved you so much. He's running you through a psyop, fool. And this guy's probably part of it, or a damn fool. Here's more of this nonsense. Man, I feel sorry for anybody in these churches listening to these clowns.
That sent me a text message. I was in a meeting, a weekend meeting, preaching Friday, Saturday, and Sunday morning. And he said, "Perry, can you give me a call? I have some information that has come to my attention." Of course, when a friend of yours does that you know quite well, you have no idea what information they're talking about. And I'm not going to go into great detail, but there were a large number of pastors that had been invited to go to a certain state to hear some men in the United States government and others share with them a concern that they had. And this particular man, and I'll not name him, and then we may end up doing some teachings with him or having an event at his church. He has a great church. But he said, "Perry, what they're about to release, from what we're hearing, there's going to be a release concerning aliens and concerning unidentified flying object spacecraft, that some of the people who were in the meeting were telling us as pastors, you need to prepare your people and you need to get ready to answer them for what you're about to hear being released." And some of it has to do with crafts that have been discovered that are not allegedly a part of our planet, and the materials they're made of are not a part of our planet. Very strange reptilian-looking creatures, and other things that almost sound like something out of a sci-fi movie or an Orson Welles book.
Yeah, because that's exactly what it is. You would think that these pastors would have some discernment. Apparently, they're probably government agents, part of InfraGard. They love the government. They're clowns. I feel sorry for their flock. Here's Trump. I wouldn't trust the kids around Trump at all, but they did the reestablishing the presidential fitness test. And here's Trump teaching young men to do a gay dance. This is Trump is fake and gay. Can't even play that. Probably in the background, they'll copyright tag you. Anyway, look, there you go. To YMCA by the Village People. Yeah, it's all funny. We're all gay. Are they going around dropping off mystery boxes of ticks?
I'm out here mushroom hunting and I found, there it is right there, the tick box. I'm not going to touch it because there's ticks all over that thing. I know there is. Look at them crawling out of it. Millions of them. You can see the tick. I'm out here.
Is that real? I don't know. There's more of them, though. Ben Swan posted that. He says, you've probably seen the viral clips blowing up on TikTok, Instagram, and X. Midwest farmers allegedly finding mystery boxes of ticks dumped in their fields. The theory, someone, maybe Big Pharma, is releasing them to spread Lyme disease, to push a new Lyme disease miracle. Sounds like classic problem, reaction, solution. There's more videos of the alleged ticks. Well, let's just go through Ben Swan's little thread he put together here. That was number 1 in the thread. The claim started in March of 2026 with Sarah Outlaw, who posted a short video of horses in a field with a caption, farmers are reporting boxes of ticks being found in fields. Her video got 10 million views across all platforms and still climbing. Well, let's watch this viral video. Yeah, you shouldn't be concerned. Probably shouldn't be concerned at all. Something is happening with ticks right now, and farmers are starting to talk. I'm hearing from farmers in the Midwest about unusual tick activity in their fields, reports of boxes of ticks being found, reports of ticks being seen in ways that feel out of the ordinary. At the same time, we are seeing a very real increase in tick populations across our region. Longer seasons, more exposure, more aggressive environments. And in my practice, I'm seeing the impact. More Lyme, more chronic disease, more alpha gal. That's the one that makes you allergic to. That's the one that makes you allergic to meat, isn't it? Alpha gal, I believe it is part of this whole biological chemical weapons attack. Potentially, allegedly here now. People online quickly connected dots. Pfizer, the greatest pharma company ever. Pfizer is fast tracking a Lyme disease miracle for possible release next year. Some tied it to Bill Gates' grants to Oxytec for genetically modified cattle ticks. Others have pointed to old rumors about the military weaponizing ticks. Yet health officials are attributing this year's spike in tick populations to normal season-related patterns and not any kind of deliberate spread of the bugs. Illinois' Department of Public Health who we can always trust, the Department of Public Health, as they showed during the bat time. They're fully trustworthy. Illinois Department of Public Health epidemiologist Matthew Lindsay says, from a scientific perspective, or excuse me, Leslie, was Matthew Leslie. From a scientific perspective, I'm not sure how one would accomplish that. University of Illinois epidemiologist Chris Stone said, that seems very unlikely. They're doing perfectly fine injecting us just like this. Snopes even did an investigation across Missouri with state health officials. Their conclusion, no evidence of any foul play. And of course, we can always trust Snopes, right? The famed debunkers of the internet. Ticks are exploding across the Midwest and the U.S. as a whole. The part is not up for debate. That part is not up for debate. Longer seasons, milder winters, booming deer and mice populations, and seasonal climate shifts are definitely factors. In Illinois alone, up to 40% of adult ticks already carry Lyme bacteria. Cases of Lyme disease hover around 476,000 diagnoses a year. That's quite a bit there. And then to wrap up Ben Swan report, he says, so what are people seeing? Could it be deliberate, coordinated effort to spread disease in time for a new big pharma payday? Or are these just common pest control devices like tick bait boxes or tick tubes? What do you think is behind the surge in ticks? Well, it's obviously climate change. So that's going on. Here's, I believe this is an older clip, but yeah, implant aborted baby parts into lab animals. And they were doing those insane experiments under Fauci. And by the way, they're not going to indict Fauci, as the statute of limitations is running out, and he also got a pardon from Joe Biden.
Implant aborted baby parts into lab animals. Have you heard of that sort of research?
Yeah, we did an analysis a few years ago showing that over 90% of experiments with using human fetal tissue and putting them involved animals were funded by Fauci's NIAID.
Do you know where they're getting the aborted human fetal tissue?
A lot of it is happening at colleges and universities that have affiliated hospitals that perform that procedure.
And that's your public health, who we should all know and love, that saved everybody's life from the bats. Over there at the World Health Organization, they're trying to cook up a new public health scare. The hantavirus, who confirms 7 hantavirus cases on the cruise ship that was reported as been reported the last few days here now. 2 confirmed and 5 suspected. Of these 7, or 3 have died. 1 is critically ill and 3 have mild symptoms. Contact tracing for a flight that an infected passenger board is now underway. And so they were so good with the contact tracing during the bat time that it cured the world. So I'm sure they'll be successful in tracking this case down. Maybe some good news. I don't know. We have some vets in the audience, I do believe. Are you guys out there seeing any increase in the quality of care you're getting from the VA? If you are getting care from the VA, 35 VA clinics opened since the beginning of this year, since Trump first took office, the second term, since January 20th of 2025. Here's a map. And God knows our veterans need medical care. I just don't trust the VA, the government. They have a long history of denying claims for disabled veterans, of abuse of MK Ultra on soldiers, and on it goes, of the abuse of our military men and women, and them nays as well. Throw them in there. But I hope these new VA clinics, 35 of which have been opened during Trump's second term, can actually provide some care that the veterans need. Call me cynical and skeptical. I doubt it, but hey, maybe some positive news. Maybe, hopefully, probably not. President Trump's drug maker deals may save the economy $529 billion over 10 years, according to a White House analysis via the Associated Press. Don't do drugs, kids, but if you do, buy them from trumprx.gov. And let's remind everybody of this. Promoting the national defense by ensuring an adequate supply of elemental phosphorus and glyphosate-based herbicides. That was executive order by Trump on February 18, 2026, essentially giving the liability indemnity shield to Bayer Monsanto, IG Farben, for national security purposes, of course.
That we need to infuse into our young people, and obviously it takes young people to run a military. And as the Secretary pointed out, almost 3/4 of American young people do not qualify for military service, and a lot of that has to do with their physical fitness. So we're proud at the War.
You may want to be unfit here now so you don't have to go serve in another rich man's war. President Trump signs proclamation revitalizing Presidential Fitness Test Award, Youth, Sports, and Fitness. And so I think it's a good thing to be fit, but having these people implement the program is the problem, you see. I would not want my children around any of these freak shows. That's the problem. Is the intent is good, but the corrupt government implementing the program is the problem, you see. All right, we're at the top of the hour. Let's go ahead and take our live commercial break here now. Everybody go to weaponizednews.com/shop. Get yourself a holograph sticker over there and see. We're almost done Pride Month next month. Get ahead of the trends and get your rainbow holograph Weaponized News sticker ahead of Pride Month. We also have the clear background sticker and the white background sticker here. You can see 3 different stickers there, and a whole bunch of gear at weaponizednews.com/shop. We got t-shirts, long sleeve, short sleeve, hoodies. We got coffee mugs, baseball caps, all kinds of gear over there at weaponizednews.com/shop. The link's in the description below this video. We take donations as well. Buy me a coffee, Cash App, Bitcoin wallet address, all in the description below this video. Go to weaponizednews.com. There's a PayPal donation link right there on the front. We'd appreciate your patronage to the store. You can become a paid subscriber on Weaponized News Substack. We put out everything there free, a summary of the show, after the show, the full show, plus all the links to almost everything we talk about there at Weaponized News Substack for your further research purposes and documentation purposes to track the never-ending lies and propaganda put forth to us by this establishment. weaponizednews.com/shop. All the links are in the description below this video. Any which way you choose to support this broadcast is truly appreciated. Thank you to all the patrons of the store, the subscribers, and donors. weaponizednews.com/shop. All right. Thank you for bearing with me through that live commercial break. And now we're back to the Well, tyranny here on this Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, 2026. They're rolling out technocracy, surveillance state. Here's Kash Patel saying how they've implemented AI across the FBI. And so maybe that's why we're getting lower quality psyops these days. We're just getting a bunch of AI fed slop BS. We demand better psyops for as much taxes as we pay.
That's why we're bringing in things like AI. AI was never used at the FBI until we got there, literally.
That's crazy.
I'm using it everywhere. I'm using it in places to, like our criminal justice information system database, so we can pop fingerprints immediately and get fugitives and arrest warrants.
He also used AI to win the gold medal of Epstein cover-ups. Side note to this interview.
Out. I'm using it in places like our National Threat Operations Center. I'll give you an example. They wanted to do it human by human. Can you imagine how many tips the FBI gets a week? Thousands. If we had just humans look at it, we would never sift through them all. I put AI in there. We stopped a school massacre in North Carolina because we got a tip and we were able to triage it with artificial intelligence.
Wow.
We stopped a school shooting in New York because we got a tip from our private sector partners who are building our AI infrastructure, because we were able to. I mean, just think about the old school movies like, Patriot Games. Remember, they get the fingerprint screens up and it's going and they'll say, we'll see you in a couple of days when we get a hit.
Yeah.
Now those hits are instantaneous because we are welcoming in artificial intelligence.
Selling you technocracy right there. Isn't it wonderful? Pre-crime, Minority Report style. Trump administration is closing the office responsible for investigating misconduct and abuse in the immigration detention system, per an email obtained by the Huffington Post. And so somebody put a meme under that report. And just to remind everybody, I know having a memory is a conspiracy theory, but here's a little bit of a list of lies that these bastards have sold us. Stolen 2020 election, forget about it. J6 footage, forget about it. Chemtrail ban, forget about it. Fix rigged elections, forget about it. Doge refunds, forget about it. Build the wall, forget about it. Hillary in jail if elected, forget about it. Tariffs to replace income tax, forget about it. Epstein files, forget about it. Stop funding Ukraine, forget about it. Cap credit card interest rates, forget about it. Rising national debt, forget about it. Russiagate accountability, forget about it. Mass deportations, forget about it. Term limits, forget about it. Deep state arrests, forget about it. COVID bat crimes, arrest, forget about it. Drain the swamp, forget about it. Fort Knox gold audit, forget about it. Affordability of groceries, forget about it. mRNA ban, forget about it. Corrupt FBI accountability, forget about it. And that's just some of the big lies, hoaxes, and promises that the Trump has said himself. And so proof positive, MAGA are cucks that like being abused, suffering from Stockholm syndrome, or they have some other type of, they're suffering from never-ending propaganda and lies as well. Here's old, we're not getting mass deportations. And no one that allowed all the mass illegal immigration into this country has gotten in trouble as well.
Perfect. Can you sit here today and acknowledge that mistakes were made and perhaps that the administration went too far in Minneapolis?
Well, the operation, and when I got there, I reviewed the entire operation. I made changes based on my experience and based on what I think was the best way to go forward. And I said on the stage my first time, I didn't go up there looking for photo ops. I didn't go up there looking for TV cameras. I went up there to fix a problem because President Trump sent me there to fix that problem, and we fixed it. And as I said up there, we're going to do smarter enforcement. Smarter enforcement don't mean less enforcement. Did I like what's going on? No, everything wasn't perfect. There's different chains of command, Border Patrol had one chain of command. ICE had a different chain of command. HSI had a different chain of command. There's like 3 different chains of command. I've never seen an operation that size not have one chain of command. I fixed that. And I made sure that we went out. We have, like I said, plenty of thousands of solid priority targets that we should be looking at first. And
you're talking about criminals who are also in the country illegally.
Yes. So, things weren't perfect.
You're a criminal if you broke our immigration law. And we devolved into this nonsense.
We addressed it, we fixed it, and I think things that we learned, I certainly have a close relationship with the ICE director, and he understands what we found and what we changed and what we improved upon, and that's where we're moving forward. And I've had the discussions with Secretary Mark Raymond. He agrees. We can have mass deportations, but do it in a smarter way, which we're doing.
We're not getting mass deportations because these are bumbling, fumbling clowns, as he admitted there. Oh, all these different chains of command. We don't know what happened. Well, you shot some Americans. That's what happened. And we're not getting mass deportation. But they continue. Here's Trump. Nice, isn't it? Nice. National Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Whatever you call it, they're not carrying out the mass deportations that were promised to us. So call it whatever you want and rebrand it whatever you want. It's still the same clown show. On to MTG just confirmed what many of us have suspected. This is a post by Brian Allen there on the X. The 8-week government shutdown was orchestrated by Trump to prevent the release of the Epstein files. MTG said it. Let's watch this short clip. She spilled a whole lot of beans during this presentation at the Ron Paul Institute for Peace.
When it comes down to victimizing some of the most innocent people in America, these were young girls that were teenagers that desperately wanted to be models one day. They wanted to be seen as beautiful. They wanted to be rich. They wanted to be famous. And of course, every teenager wants things like that. And they were victimized by Ghislaine Maxwell and others. And they were victimized by the richest, most powerful men, not only in our country, but in the world. And they were used by Jeffrey Epstein as sexual tools for his own satisfaction and his friends' satisfaction. To actually be asked by the President of the United States to back off and not help these women, that's when MAGA died. That's when the entire thing shattered for me. So I kept my name on. Then we spent 8 weeks shut down. Remember that? We spent 8 weeks shut down. By the way, that was to stop the Epstein resolution from getting a House vote. That's what that shutdown was about. Finally, they reopened the government and a brand new Democrat member of Congress was sworn in, and we got the 218th signature, released the resolution, passed it overwhelmingly, which was hilarious to me. Why?
The biggest cover-up in American history continues. The Epstein files. The Department of Justice is actively covering up the Epstein files now as we speak. More from Nancy Mace. She says, we have now received the files from our subpoena motion of Congress's taxpayer-funded sexual harassment slush fund. They reveal taxpayers have paid more than $300,000 in settlements paid on behalf of 6 members of the House of Representatives or their offices. Congress has spent decades hiding this from the American people. Taxpayers didn't sign up to foot the bill for cover-ups. Well, we kind of did because that's what the government is in the business of doing. She went on to say they deserve to know their hard-earned dollars were used to cover up sexual harassment by their own elected officials. We've been leading the charge from day one. The American people deserve to know who abused their position of power, how much it cost them, and why Congress worked so hard to make sure they never found out. Slush fund files released, and here's the press release by Nancy Mace naming these characters. The files confirm taxpayers footed the bill for settlements on behalf of the following members: Rodney Alexander in 2007, $15K. Carolyn McCarthy in 2009, $8K, 2 cases, 1 settlement. Eric Massa, 2010, $115,000, 3 cases. Little breakdown there. John Conyers, remember this guy? Didn't he die in office? 2010 and 2014, $77,111.75. Blake Farenthold, 2014, $84,000, and then Patrick Meehan in 2017, $39,250. 2 cases, 1 settlement, severance pay. And she did name the names. I believe it's a lot worse than that, but this is official coming from Nancy Mace, member of Congress there out of South Carolina. So Howard Lutnick is set to have his deposition there at the House Oversight Committee.
After telling quite a tale about how he was so turned off by Epstein that he told his wife he never wanted to see Epstein again, we learned later that he in fact did go to Epstein's Island and had lunch on Epstein's Island. He flat out lied to the American people. Why did he lie? And if he lied about that basic fact of going to the island, what else has he lied about with respect to his relationship with Epstein?
Well, he gamed the whole Trump's going to tariff the world and remake our foreign trade deficit. He gamed that. And he's also, well, there's this. Sure looks like a mask of Epstein, part of trauma-based, fear-based MK Ultra style mind control programming right there. The infamous dentist chair and these bizarre masks on the wall found there at Epstein Island. And so he got caught in that lie that he knows nothing about Epstein, then turns around and brags about it and says, yes, I'm very proud of taking my family vacation on Epstein Island. That's our Commerce Secretary here in America, appointed by Trump, who also allowed his company, Cantor Fitzgerald, large majority of them on 9/11, to go ahead and be in those Twin Towers when they collapsed. Conveniently enough, Howard Lutnick didn't show up for work that day as he had to take his children to school. And he's still our sitting Secretary of U.S. Commerce. Quite amazing, actually. So they've been at this thing a while now. Paranoid American post an article from 1913, Moloch, the eater of little children. March 30th, 1913, Richmond, Virginia, the Times Dispatch. None of this is new. Indeed, nothing new under the sun. It's the same cult. It's the same cult that's always ruled the world. You see? Runes of the altars of the Phoenicians' cruel god found by the Italians in conquered Tripoli. Can see right there. Times Dispatch out of Richmond, Virginia. So, yeah, same cult, same program. Adrenochrome. Paranoid American says, do you still think adrenochrome is just a wild conspiracy? Here is a declassified CIA training video from 1955, which proves government experimentation. We are continuing our experimental work with hallucinogenic drugs such as mescaline, cannabis, and adrenochrome, etc.
And furthermore, we are continuing our experimental work with hallucinogenic drugs such as mescaline, cannabis, adrenochrome, etc.
And a side note about the adrenochrome, epinephrine, which is the synthetic adrenaline, right? They give you when you have an allergic reaction. Epinephrine, if it goes bad and oxidizes, it becomes adrenochrome. Fun fact there for you as well. More documentation, more documented proof the CIA was studying adrenochrome and adrenochrome derivatives in 1943. This was declassified in 2005, which shows the CIA flagged a 1943 article, L'adrenochrome. It's written in French. You can see it right here. And again, that's was posted by Paranoid American. And again, you're not paranoid if they're really out to get you here now, are you? So yeah, it's all very real as we continue to report here to you. As part of our Epstein reporting, Howard Lutnick faces congressional showdown after Epstein files reveal he visited the island. That's a news story published today by NBC News, but very old and recycled here for Weaponized News viewers, as we've been on top of it since the beginning of the release of the Epstein files. Again, nice meme of the day yesterday from Nancy Mace. Release the files, prosecute predators, make arrests. Indeed. Indeed. And then here was the aforementioned at the beginning of the show, Chuck Schumer's reply to the bordering on racist Cinco de Mayo meme coming out of the White House. And so Trump with Epstein in their sombrero hats there by Mr. Palestinian Chuck Schumer, who's a devout Zionist, by the way. But if you listen to lying criminal Trump, you wouldn't know which way the sun rose at this point and level of lying. Elon Musk is the planet's richest person by far, worth $839 billion, according to Forbes' annual World Billionaires list. And that's just the public list. We know the real wealth. We don't even know the names, right? They're the leaders of this Moloch cult, the Babylon mystery religion. And so that's the public front man for the richest men in the world club. The real richest men in the world, they own the printing press, or I guess you would say have access to the general ledger of the central bank is actually what it is today, right? And they can simply go in there and make an accounting entry and say, here's $1 gazillion. But Elon Musk is the front man for the billionaire class that's out to save the world with his never-ending scams, schemes, and building technocracy. Sarah Paulson wears a $1 bill blindfold to bash the ultra-rich 1% at the Met Gala, where tickets cost $100,000 each sponsored by the world's number 2 richest man, billionaire Jeff Bezos. And so they know that, well, they have no shame in the mockery of the general public here now, displayed at the Met Gala. And so is that the way she's wearing it? She has the pyramid with the all-seeing eye right there, strapped to her left eye. Some hardcore mind control brainwashing program going on there, and backhandedly mocking you and I. The typical age for a first-time home buyer has hit a record high of 40 years of age per NAR. The typical age of a repeat buyer has also reached a record high of 62 years old here in America. AI companies are driving up your electricity bill. Carbon credit prices just hit a record high in 11 northeastern states. Here's why nobody is talking about it. Amazon, Microsoft, Google. We love you, Google, YouTube. We hate Trump. I guess that's out now. We got to find a new narrative. Meta, Apple, and Oracle, their AI data centers are consuming so much electricity that regional energy demand has exploded. The carbon allowance market that covers your power bill just jumped 44% in a single week. Virginia alone hosts 35% of the world's hyperscale data centers. By 2030, they'll consume more than half the state's electricity. Dominion Energy is about to add a rider RGGI charge to your bill, 2 to 4 months a month per household. The hyperscalers' gross margins are 60 to 75%. Microsoft worth $3 trillion. You're subsidizing their GPU racks. Privatize the profit, socialize the cost, as per usual. The oldest American business model, new paint on it. And that's a report from Brian Allen. Indeed there. 81% of young Americans say economic conditions are bad to terrible. 81% of the youth in America, that's real bad, according to a report out of The Hill. Amsterdam bans public advertisements for meat and fossil fuels, according to BBC, prepping the public for rationing. Trump claims the increase in fuel price is a small price to pay. And you see, the paid shills are just idiots echoing that same, I don't care what I pay for gas as long as Iran doesn't have a nuke. Well, have fun with that idiot narrative when you can't afford to eat. And they'll still be saying, we love it. So that's where we're at. The U.S. auto loan crisis is accelerating. The Kabasi letter reports on the X. They say the average amount owed by underwater car borrowers rose to $7,200 in the first quarter of this year, the highest on record and the fourth consecutive annual increase. Over the last 4 years, the average amount owed by negative equity car borrowers has risen by 71%. Overall, 30% of car buyers who traded in a vehicle in the first quarter of this year had negative equity. This comes as BAT era vehicles bought at peak prices have lost value faster than borrowers can pay down the loans. This compounds existing pressure on auto buyers amid elevated vehicle prices and interest rates. Auto credit stress is spreading. And we told you on this show many times, one of the worst investments you can make is buying a brand new vehicle off the lot, unless it's some type of special custom job, because it depreciates as soon as you drive it off the lot. Maybe high prices of vehicles and depreciation can keep Americans out of these new surveillance models being rolled out. Maybe, possibly. Too poor to afford them. So, an illustration of the sad economic literacy of Americans buying new cars. All right, continuing here. My favorite part of the show, where we are well above $4 for a gallon of gasoline. According to the AAA national average for a gallon of gasoline here in America on Cinco de Mayo, we're up to $4.48. So, and that's going to pass through to the rest of the economy. And that's not even diesel. You see, here in California, we're well above $6 now, $6.13. This is clearly not sustainable. Not sustainable. So with this price for regular, right? For I guess it's unleaded now, right? For your regular vehicles, $6.13. Diesel's like what, $8 now? Who knows? Pushing way past $7. And of course, that's all going to pass through to all of your consumable goods there. But it's well worth it. So Iran doesn't have fake nukes, is what they tell us. No, this is all engineered by design. Stop being naive fools and think this government gives two shits about if you live in or die, because they don't. Because the program is mass depopulation, as we continue to report here at Weaponized News. And they want to make your life harder and harder. Global airlines are canceling flights at an unprecedented pace. Here's a graph from the Odysee report. You can see right here, as we're going into global austerity in the name of fighting Iran's nuclear program. And as we continue to report the mysterious attacks on energy infrastructure all over the world, where there's no war even going on, but there keeps happening at all these petrol refining stations, is they keep blowing up. It's all just a coincidence, no part of a bigger agenda to bring about a global famine, you see. Meanwhile, you're not going to be able to fly, but Trump International Airport new logo was put out today by Eric Trump. And so that's very nice. Renaming a airport there in Florida, Donald J. Trump International Airport. Americans are too poor to fly, or we won't even have airlines soon, because the airlines are all going bankrupt as well on the back of high fuel prices. Who cares? At least you have a golden sign there for Trump. And that's all that really matters now, isn't it? Report from John Rappaport out of his Substack. He says, breaking, the Trump administration is now inviting destruction of Maha in court. Have a giant slice of outrage with your morning coffee. He says, I'm talking about the case in federal court in Massachusetts, which I've been covering. He's been covering it, John Rappaport, there on the Substack. The judge, Brian Murphy, froze all changes Kennedy made to Miracle since taking office as head of HHS. However, slight those changes have been. The judge rolled them back and made the CDC Miracle Division a paralyzed statue in the park. Then solo warrior Rick Jaffe stepped in and filed an appeal because the U.S. government wouldn't. Now Rick is reporting the latest on his case, and he puts a link there, the link to this, so you can link through or go follow him on Substack. We'll be at Weaponized News Substack, continuing through all the legal spaghetti. The bottom line is clear. The Department of Justice finally filed an appeal in the case. It asked the judge to squash Rick Jaffe's appeal, and it stated the government is satisfied with Judge Murphy's ruling to freeze and reverse all miracle decisions made by the CDC since Kennedy took office. So we have no public health reform as per Judge Brian Murphy. I'm sure he's a great public health advocate and cares about your and mine health. Sure. The government is satisfied with the judge's decision to impose that freeze for the duration of the case, which could take many months. The actual final decision in the case will be made by Judge Murphy, and that's not looking good at all. And so it's wonderful that we have Judge Murphy there looking out for our health. Chevron CEO raises alarm of crude oil shortages as energy prices spike worldwide. Just what do you even say at this point? But Trump will say it's wonderful, and everybody will drool and say, we love it. We love it. The CEO of U.S. energy giant Chevron, Mike Wirth, warned yesterday that crude oil shortages have begun due to the closure of the Strait of Hormuz and the effects of the U.S. Aardvark land war on Iran. He said, we will start to see physical shortages. Wirth said during an event, demand needs to move to meet supply. Economies are going to have to slow, i.e. engineered shutdown, i.e. engineered austerity, i.e. engineered starvation in the third and fourth world here now. And that was a report out of the Cradle. Turkey warns of prolonged global energy crisis amid Iran war. Turkey's energy minister, Bey Rakhtar, said the world should prepare for a potentially prolonged energy price and supply crisis resulting from the ongoing Iran war. Again, all this is engineered by design. U.S. travelers should be concerned about flight cancellations. Now we're back up to first world, quote, first world problems. So in the first world, summer travelers may have a harder time finding an economy flight for their vacation. In the third and fourth world, millions are going to starve to death. War, El Nino, pestilence, and famine, the coming shock to the global food supply. And that's Craig Tyndall on the X. And that was via Simon sent me that one. And I'll post the links, but it just goes through all the data. It's baked in now. It is baked in. And then you add on top of it El Nino, naturally occurring weather patterns. Then you add on top of that weather weaponization and straight up weaponization. They're literally standing there at the freaking Strait of Hormuz with a gun saying, you're not passing here, bro. You know what I mean? So covert, overt, and every which way in between. This is an engineered man-made crisis. Sulfuric acid is a critical upstream choke point. Approximately 45% of global consumption is dedicated to the wet process production of phosphoric acid, and phosphate fertilizers. The chemical bottleneck is currently being compressed by the near closure of the Strait of Hormuz. And he goes through breaking down all the data in this article. War, El Nino, pestilence, and famine. It's all man-made and engineered. Onto the geopolitical section here now. Iran, China, the U.S. Dropside News reports Iranian Foreign Minister Odysee is traveling to Beijing, China today to hold talks with his Chinese counterpart on bilateral relations and regional and international developments. The Iranian Foreign Ministry office said in a statement. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent accused China of funding the largest state sponsor of terrorism by purchasing roughly 90% of Iran's energy exports, and called on Beijing to use its leverage over Tehran to help open the Strait of Hormuz. But never mind. President Trump is expected to visit Beijing next week for a summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping, where they can laugh at all the rest of us, right? China and Russia earlier this month vetoed a UN Security Council resolution condemning the Iranian blockade, with Chinese Ambassador Fu Kong saying the draft failed to capture the root causes and the full picture of the conflict. Beijing has rejected U.S. sanctions on Chinese entities linked to the Iranian oil trade, with the Chinese Foreign Ministry saying it opposes illicit unilateral sanctions that have no basis in international law. What a disaster. This is pretty cool. Turkey, as they're putting on this defense show, check out this. Would you want this in the back of your pickup here now? Turkey unveils MKE's ENFAL-17 air defense missile system there at Saha 2026 in Istanbul, Turkey. So imagine driving around your truck with this thing in the back of it. Well, hell, we need it. Designed as a low cost effective solution, 8 times cheaper than its peers, ENFAL-17 integrates with mobile systems and AI supported command and control. Imagine driving around with this thing in the back of your truck. Yeah, we may need it because, I'm sure we'll see Al-Qaeda, ISIS, ISIL, whatever's the next spin-off of Western-backed terrorists in the region driving around these brand new trucks with this missile launcher in the back, and it'll be a mystery. How did they get that equipment? Well, we just simply don't know, but they're bad terrorists, and we must go attack another country wherever they're in because, you know, they have fancy trucks with missile launchers on the back. But it would be pretty sweet to have one of those, I'm not going to lie, for self-defense purposes, a la little Marco Rubio. No, we really do believe in the non-aggression principle here at Weaponized News. Here's a post via Simon sent me. The West is crumbling into barbarism. That's the end of the old world order. Here's a former Indian ambassador to the UAE on RT India. And we've been reporting on what going on over 2 years now. There's documentaries up on our YouTube channel. The new world order in the new era. Let's hear now from this professor telling us all about it.
That you've said, the two rogue states of the world, America and Israel. The old order has been disrupted, destroyed largely by the very people who brought about the order. So where does that put us with the rogue states, and then your perception that a new order has to emerge?
We are looking at the West crumbling into barbarism.
course.
That is the end of the old order. Israel was always a very peculiar construction, just like Pakistan. The same people who created Pakistan created Israel. Who have the Israelis actually fought in the last 50 years? Refugees, unarmed people. Who have they killed? Women and children. I used to joke with people that James Bond has a license to kill. But Israel has that same license, but while James Bond may kill one person at a time, they can kill several hundred people at a time and get away with it.
The American objective to bring an end to the nuclear, so-called nuclear program of Iran. We heard this talk about Iraq and then nothing came of it. How do you see this present approach towards Iran?
United States is the hegemon, not only in world affairs, but certainly in West Asian affairs. The relationship with earlier Iraq and now with Iran has been fraught with extraordinary influence from the domestic constituencies, and a major role player has been Israel. All the things that you have seen happening in the region, the disruption, the violence, the war, the abuse, the origin of it lies in Tel Aviv rather than in Washington. Now this business about nuclear agenda, it's entirely from the Israeli side.
And again, hate the evil aardvarks all day, but who's pulling the strings? UK intelligence, City of London. Here's a report from Greg Reese, the New World Order. It's the New World Order in the new era.
The United Nations emblem uses a projection map which is centered on the North Pole. This projection was chosen in 1945 when the UN was founded and the Arctic was strategically irrelevant. Today, it has become the world's most contested zone. The center of the UN's map is precisely the terrain that every major power is now scrambling for. The Russian narrative is that a coming pole shift will thaw parts of Siberia and the Arctic coastline, of which Russia controls approximately 53%. The Northern Sea Route, the NSR, saves 15 days of travel compared to the Suez Canal route. Russia has already invested over $35 billion developing this area for a future Arctic civilization. The narrative in the United States, which has a limited Arctic footprint compared to Russia, has been more desperate. Its story began as man-made global warming, now simplified to climate change. The U.S. is hurrying to meet a 2030 deadline and is looking to acquire Canada and Greenland, which would give it the ability to dominate the Northwest Passage, the alternative Arctic trade route to Russia's NSR. The European Union has expanded NATO to include Arctic states, Sweden and Finland. In January 2025, the EU established the European Polar Coordination Office, EPCO, in Sweden's Arctic region. China's Arctic engagement can be found in their Polar Silk Road, an extension of the Belt and Road Initiative in polar waters. China has declared itself a near-Arctic state and has been investing in Russia's Arctic projects in exchange for access. In 2025, it has completed a record number of container voyages through Russia's NSR and designates the Arctic as a strategic new frontier. We are living through the most consequential reorganization of world power since 1945, and the geological advantage for all nations is clearly centered in the Arctic region. The new multipolar world order is forming, and with it, a new financial system is being
Sorry, I was on mute there. Yeah, let me just give a shout out to Simon here at Weaponized News. He called this out like 2 years ago. So I just want to give Simon credit for his research, reading all of these extremely dry, dense policy papers about the Arctic.
Built a new world order in which energy, food, and metals become the new reserve assets. Each of the major players is connecting financial systems designed to function independently as well as internationally. In the USA, there is Hedera's digital hash graph, which is governed by institutions including Google, IBM, Boeing, LG, and FedEx. Hedera is not a replacement for the dollar. It is a faster, more programmable upgrade of the US dollar system that works along with stablecoins such as USDC. In China, there is CIPS, Cross-Border Interbank Payment System, which was launched in 2015 as a SWIFT alternative. But unlike SWIFT, which only handles messaging, CIPS handles actual clearing and settlement. There is also the digital yuan, which has already reached 2.25 billion wallets, more than China's entire population. And there is mBridge, China's most ambitious project, a multi-CBDC platform developed with Hong Kong, Thailand, and the UAE, allowing direct settlement between digital currencies. In Russia, there is the digital ruble and the Mir card payment system, which has issued nearly 500 million cards and processes 2/3 of all domestic transactions. SPFS, System for Transfer of Financial Messages, is Russia's SWIFT alternative and is now connected to 557 financial institutions in 20 countries. There are 4 emerging blocks in this multipolar world order. The American bloc, which is looking to include all of North America, Latin America, and Greenland. The Middle East is being fought for right now. The Russian bloc is looking to include much of its former Soviet states, as well as parts of Africa and the Balkans. The Chinese bloc is looking to include South and Southeast Asia, as well as parts of Africa. And the European bloc is looking to include the core EU and its surrounding periphery. What appears to be a series of unrelated events is more likely the controlled demolition of the unipolar world order and the birth pangs of the new multipolar world order. And through a pipeline of central banks and private think tank institutions, all roads lead to the Bank for International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland. Greg Reese reporting.
Yep, the same old international banking cartel that we know and love. So, yeah, we've been reporting on it extensively here at Weaponized News for over 2 years. Made documentaries about it. They're all on our YouTube for your references there. Nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. But the U.S. has bombed Somalia now for the 62nd time this year. AFRICOM said that the strike targeted the ISIS affiliate in Somalia, northeastern Puntland region, bombing the hell out of Somalia, as Trump always says it's a giant shithole. Well, yeah, it's a giant pile of rubble because of the continued U.S. bombing campaigns. They're now trying to rout out the terrorist ISIS created by Western intelligence. By the way, here's the meme of the days from the Department of War. Locked in, we sure are, in a stalemate there of our own making in the Strait of Hormuz. Next meme of the day, a legacy worth defending, with the colonial soldier overlooking the town. America belongs to the American. We will protect our native soil always, says the Department of War there. The American Indians might have something to say. Don't worry about them. So tomorrow, the Department of War here says that it will host a lab day showcasing the latest technology explorations happening across the department's network of laboratories, warfare centers, and engineering centers. And so we'll see what they reveal to us tomorrow at the War Department Lab Day. We look forward to that. Right, where are we at here? We got to blast through it. We got try to keep it to 2 hours here. Operation Southern Sphere yesterday. The U.S. Central Command announced that they whacked another one of these alleged narco trafficking drug vessels and whacked their 2 male drivers. And so the continuing operation of extrajudicial assassinations continues. It's a straight up murder. Here's the drone video they put out whacking that boat. Boom. And so I do believe at some point in time when Democrats get back in power, people are going, well, they're at least going to create the illusion that they're going after this straight up murder. Probably no one will ever get in trouble, but it'll be a big political scandal down the road here. And they'll act like, well, yeah, we care about those innocents out there and the rule of law and the whole routine they tell us when evidenced by the Department of War, U.S. Southern Command, they don't give a damn. Little Marco Rubio there today with U.S. Southern Command as they're building the Greater North America Project, training in Mexico, Central America, and South America, building out our region of the one world government, the Greater North America Project here now. There's little Marco Rubio shaking the hand of Southcom Commander Donovan. Yes, we appreciate you murdering those fishermen there. Little Marco Rubio, there is no oil blockade on Cuba per se. That's kind of funny. And so there's a whole lot of lies at this press conference by little Marco Rubio earlier today.
On Cuba, oil blockade on Cuba. There's no oil blockade on Cuba per se. Here's what's happening with Cuba, okay? Cuba used to get free oil from Venezuela. Used to give them a bunch of free oil. They would take like 60% of that oil and resell it for cash. It wouldn't even go to benefit the people. So the only blockade that's happened is the Cubans have decided, the Venezuelans have decided we're not giving you free oil anymore.
The Venezuelans have decided with the U.S. gun like this. Come on, there's no blockade. The U.S. just has we just put our puppet there. Was there Dulce Rodriguez? Don't put me in jail next, bro. Don't drill me next, bro. And they're literally like this. Venezuela, we love you taking our oil, gold, and all our natural resources. Mm-hmm. I think we covered enough of the Strait of Hormuz. We're at essentially a deadlock here now. Let's blast through the remaining section of the show in the last few minutes. Bombed out Iranian universities are now being turned into war museums there in Iran. And so they're trying to retrofit their war museum with this as a bombed out university. And so there is a monument to a successful diplomatic relationship with the United States and Aardvark land. All right. They're leveling. One more clip from little Marco. Another lie. But apparently he's the Republican front runner for 2028. And so Republicans do love being lied to.
This is a question. So look, here's the challenge with Lebanon, okay? There's no problem between the Lebanese government and the Israeli government. Israel doesn't claim any land in Lebanon belongs to them.
They've extensively claimed that in posts all over the place, from Smotrich to Ben-Gvir to freaking Bibi himself. They said we own this land to the Litani. They even put up freaking maps of it. They've made many claims and are enforcing those claims through military action. As we continue to report here, at Weaponized News, and it needs to all stop, all sides. There was one comment yesterday. Is this is a pro-Palestinian channel? We're a pro-peace channel, bro. Stop it all the way around and every way in between. Stop shooting at each other. It's all bad. It's all bad. Hezbollah is launching a bunch of more operations there. How many did they launched a bunch? But yeah, they're doing the same demolition program as they did in Gaza, now in southern Lebanon. Of course, they made no claim to the land, according to little Marco there, even though they've made many public claims to the land. There's photos after photos. I guess we'll show a couple here. Off in the distance, you could see the demolition campaign, the bombing campaign there in southern Lebanon earlier today. And I got like 5 or 6 of these, and it just goes on and on. Here's another one. Bint Jabil, they're in southern Lebanon. And there's another one. Lebanon and Trump even told Bibi, this just shows you the disrespect to Trump. If I was Trump, I'd be pissed, but it shows you that he's literally Bibi's little dog on a leash. Trump already told him, stop posting this crap. This is Bibi Netanyahu post on X earlier today, or whoever's running his account. Trump told him, stop posting it. He keeps posting it. Just like the IDF told the soldiers, stop posting your war crimes on the internet. It's being brought against us as evidence in indictments at the International Criminal Court. They refuse. They continue to post their war crimes on the internet. This is from Bibi today. Trump told them, stop posting this. Look, here it is. Lebanon continuing to eliminate hundreds of terrorists and destroy terror infrastructure. Nothing like our fighters. There it is. Right? Trump told them, stop posting this. They don't care. At least 2,702 people, Lebanese, have been killed and 8,311 injured in Lebanon since the beginning of the current war. There's a ceasefire going on. According to Beirut Ministry of Health here now. And that's posted by Courtney Bonau. Here's her report on the ground there in the rubble. And this is not Gaza. This is not Gaza. This is now Lebanon. And it's the same program. Here she is reporting from Lebanon, a pile of rubble.
I'm reporting to you from the town of Bir Amun, which yesterday was targeted by an Israeli airstrike. The civilian home behind me was completely destroyed in the airstrike, and the building next door was also heavily damaged. Yesterday, the Israeli army attacked 23 towns with airstrikes and 19 towns of artillery shelling, including the town of Kharpur, which isn't too far from here. And in that artillery shelling attack, 2 Lebanese army soldiers were wounded and brought to the hospital. And I just want to remind you that destroying is a war crime. The resistance today has conducted 12 operations so far against various Israeli army.
Yeah, she's having a hard time there in the rubble with the audio, as you would expect. But that was Hezbollah posted a video of their successes, allegedly. So the genocide in Palestine continues. Sadly enough, according to the Gaza Ministry of Health, 3 Palestinians have been reported dead and 11 injured in the last 24 hours. That's bringing the total since the ceasefire of October 11th to 834 dead Palestinians, 2,365 injured, and 768 bodies recovered from the rubble. Remember that. There's still a bunch of people buried under the rubble there. And so we truly don't know the true death toll, right? It's a lot higher than the 72,000 I see widely quoted now all over the place. It's a lot higher than that. It's probably closer to that Lancet report that came out like 8 months, a year ago. I can't even remember when it came out, but it said like over 130,000, something like that. I forget even the numbers. Well over 100,000 they had estimated, and it's going to be that and probably even worse. And we'll wrap it up. We'll just wrap it up here with the golden news celebration once again. I mean, this is beyond the pale, but Ben Gvir post on his TikTok that he posted this video, not able to sleep, dreaming of nooses, referring to the death penalty law for Palestinian detainees by hanging, i.e. the final solution. This was Ben Gvir post on his TikTok.
I know I should sleep, but the voices in my head go. I know I should sleep, but the voices in my head go.
And of course he's a troll, a provocateur as well, but that is in response to the outrage, rightfully so, of his 50th birthday cake here. We'll take a look at that if we can get it to load. That was in response to the outrage over this, his 50th birthday cake with a golden noose and pistols, celebrating the upcoming final solution. All right, let's take a look at Iran International latest headlines, and we'll wrap up this show for you. Iran International says Trump pauses Project Freedom. Well, little Marco said it was it's over, right? And we're on to, or no, now I'm getting confused. Project Epstein Fury, Epic Fury is over. Now we're on to Project Freedom, and now it's paused per Pakistani request, allegedly. So it's a stalemate in the Strait of Hormuz, as we've already defeated Iran 67 times. U.S. official urges Iraq to act against militias. I've been seeing those reports. Sea Hawk helicopters supporting U.S. naval blockade. So that's wonderful. Vessel traffic continues in Strait of Hormuz, tracker shows. Reports of explosions heard in Qisam Bandar. Yeah, there's reports, little scuffles going on. It may kick back up. It may kick back up. They say vessel traffic continues in Strait of Hormuz. Vessel traffic data showed continued maritime traffic, but they don't give us much more details on it than that. Yeah, little scuffles. And who knows, are they false flagging? Is it really Iran? Is it somebody else? We need a new mystery. We need a new mystery heroes, right, to come in, like some other fourth, fifth, sixth, how many other groups are involved here? You know what I mean? But there are reports of attacks in like UAE, in other places there in the Persian Gulf, and Iran. And if they blame Iran, and Iran said it wasn't me, so who was it? You know what I mean? I keep seeing those reports, but it's nothing really that major. All right, let's go over to Odysee. Thank you guys for tuning in on Odysee. Keeping that chat lively. John, oh no, it's Gillespie. Huffman, Deep, Danger. Shout out to you guys. Thank you for tuning in today. John says fuel alone is a challenge if you live in rural area. Yeah. Diesel for tractors is dear. Yep. We'll probably start seeing, you know, a lot of gas robberies and black market gas. Will those motors function as genies if they provide an EMP attack? The robot dogs, yeah. John said CJ Bajorkness says that all us white people will be sent to labor camps in the Arctic. Maybe. We may be sent to labor camps in the Arctic with no freaking snow coat either. John said, I assume they are killing fishermen for the sake of installing terror. I have no illusions about my government and military. John, they're keeping us safe from those narco drug traffickers. I can't wait for the next wave of Operation True Promise, Deep said. Yep. Trust the plan, bro. Trust the plan. Let's play this one.
Ignore the panicans and trust in President Trump.
John said he estimates 200,000 dead without any data to support it. May very well be, John. It may very well be. That's a great, you know, dead reckoning eyeballing it estimate, I would say. If 2 million were displaced and only 1.2 left, now Deep's trying to do some math over here about it. Well, yeah, that makes sense, right? And they're still digging them out of the rubble. And we don't even know how many they literally just like evaporated into nothing. Remember those reports, they were using those weapons as well that literally just disintegrate everything. So there are no remains at all. Like nothing to even prove that you ever even existed. They're using those crazy bombs over there as well. So who knows how many people they wiped out with those. And their whole family. So nobody will even be around to ever even say they were ever even here, man. It's insane what they're doing over there. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in on Odysee, X, Substack, Kick, Bitchute, Rumble, and YouTube. All right, we got to go. Let's see. Thank you guys for chatting it up. Big chats on the Rumble and YouTubes. More on the Rumble. Shout out to Fat Bob, Denver over there, Zio. Ruckus says tick boxes come from aliens. Maybe. 3 + 3 + 3 is 9. We got people doing math over here. That's what I like to see. Thinking. Plutonium. Shout out to you on the YouTube. Yeah, it's old and it comes from the mice. Yep. They're trying to replay that one. And I saw reports it's spread from human to human, and other reports it's not. And so just take your pick of fear that you want out of that. Lovely says Ron Paul is an occult wizard. Yeah, may very well be. May very well be there. They spun, well, MTG certainly spun quite a few tales, right? Presenting there, if that's what you were getting at. She sure did. So we should keep all of that in the back of our mind as well, right? Why are they telling us? Why are they spinning these tales? Let's see. All right, guys, that's all I got. That's all I got. As always, everybody do your own research. Peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Tuesday evening, and we'll be back here on Wednesday for more Weaponized News. Pray for peace.